Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today is Tuesday, 12th July 2016. So we'll first start with our prayers. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatya uttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naistiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Today we'll be discussing chapter 13 of the first canto. The heading is Dhritarashtra quits home. So we'll first chant one of the shlokas. I have chosen shloka number 17 from 13th chapter. Evam graheshu saktanam Pramattanam tad ihaya Atyakramad avigyatah Kala paramadustaraha Evam griheshu saktanam Pramattanam tad ihaya Atyakramad avigyatah Kala paramadustaraha Mahesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Evam gruheshu saktanam pramattanam tadaiyaha atyakramad avignataha kala paramadustaraha
Evam thus griheshu in the family affairs saktanam of persons who are too attached paramattanam insanely attached tat ihaya engrossed in such thoughts atyakramat surpassed avigyatah imperceptibly kalah eternal time parama supremely
supremely
Dustaraha,
dustaraha,
insurmountable.
insurmountable.
Translation. Insurmountable eternal time imperceptibly overcomes those who are too much attached to family affairs and are always engrossed in their thought. So please repeat. Insurmountable
Insurmountable.
eternal time
Eternal time.
imperceptibly overcomes
imperceptibly overcomes
those who are too much attached
Those who are
too much attached
to family affairs
to family
family
affairs
and are always engrossed in their thought.
and are always engrossed in their thought.
Thank you. So please mute your mics. So, as I said, this chapter is called Dhritarashtra Quits Home. So after the war, all the Kauravas were dead, we know that, right? And then Dhritarashtra was under the care of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj was, although Dhritarashtra ill-treated through his sons, and he was so greedy for the throne, still Yudhishthir Maharaj was such a gentleman, and he has no enemy. That is one very, very huge qualification somebody can have, that you have no enemy. So he gave shelter, not only shelter, he kept Dhritarashtra and Gandhari very respectfully, the special palace for them. And every day in the morning, after getting up and taking his bath and all, he will first go and pay respect to all the elderly people, and especially to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. So this is really, really very rare, in Kali Yuga. We can't see this kind of personality. So now in this chapter, Sutta Goswami is addressing the rishis headed by Shaunaka Rishi. And he talks about Vidura. Vidura is one who did not take part in the warfare. He left. Balaram and Vidura, these two personalities left the battlefield. So he just went on a pilgrimage all over. And then he met Maitreya, and they had a nice discussion that will come in the third canto. And then he came back to Hastinapur. So when he came back, actually he acquired all the knowledge about Krishna through Maitreya Rishi, who in turn had got it from Uddhava. So he retired, he said, anyway, he is retired. He's a Mahatma, he's called a Mahatma, he's known as a Mahatma Vidur. So he came back. At the moment they saw him, naturally Yudhishthir Maharaj, all the younger brothers, all the Pandavas, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjaya, Kripacharya, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, Kripa, everybody gathered. And it is described that they are so happy to see him, it was a very favorite uncle of everybody's, And then the whole family was there to receive him. And then the moment they saw him, they all started paying respect to him. And they had a new life in their body. That's what is described. New life in the body, because as I said, he is very, very respected person. And there was such a long separation. So in fact, they were all crying. It happens, right? When we meet somebody after a long time, and then we again separate. So separation, we cry, and then we meet again, also we cry. So this way, they all were embracing, touching his feet, dandavats, and everything was going on. So then they received him nicely, gave him a place of rest, allowed him to rest some time, and then they gave him a nice prasadam. And then he was made to sit comfortably. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj now starts talking to him. Yudhishthira Maharaj says, "Dear uncle, you always protected us, You always were guiding us. You even protected our mother. You always gave the right kind of advice. All sorts of calamities were chasing us, but you were there like a rock." And of course, as I've been saying always, that Bhagavatam sometimes has a very nice analogy to, describe something. So here is Vidura is described as a bird who saves all his, baby birds by taking them under his wings. So he says, Vidura was like that. So then he started asking, "Tell us, how did you manage to live without all these facilities? You were on pilgrimage, and you went to so many holy places. And then who served you?" I'm very anxious to know, because you are yourself a holy place. It's not that only a building or a place or a river or something is holy. It's all because of the saintly persons. Because you always carry Krishna in your heart. So everything, wherever you go, that place becomes a pilgrim. It says that wherever devotees are there, the Vrindavan is there. Krishna says that. So tell us, we want to know more. How you were serving Krishna, Are there everybody there? Who you met? What they are doing? So see, there's generally nice questions. So Mahatma Vidura then described everything. His personal experiences. The only thing he was hiding from them was that by the time he had come back, the Yadu dynasty was over, they're fighting among themselves, and because that was a curse Krishna got from Gandhari. So Yadu dynasty is over. He did not want to tell them that, because he knew that they will not be able to digest this. So he kept that information. Sometimes you have to keep some secrets to yourself, some unpalatable secrets. It's better to keep quiet rather than, create problems. Slowly they will come to know anyway. So he remained there for some time because he was very well received. And then he decided that let me do something more creative. So he just took leave from this and he went into Dhritarashtra's palace because he wanted to talk to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was his brother, elder brother, but still Vidura had something to say. So he goes there and pays him respect. Dhritarashtra also welcomes him. And now he is very, very strict. Vidura doesn't want to mix words. This is how the sadhu is. No mixing of words, no simply, goody and all that. So he just attacks Dhritarashtra. He says, immediately you should leave this palace. You know what? You are simply a useless person. Look at yourself. You are living so fearfully here, thinking that these Pandavas may kill you one day because you are killed. Your children have sons have harassed them so much, tortured them so much. And then he says, simply any fear you have in the material world cannot be removed. So at least now, I beg you, now you should take shelter of Krishna. Forget about all this, whatever you have done, whatever has happened. Because everything happens under the influence of Kala, Karma, and Guna. This is there in the Bhagavad Gita also. Right? So all this, your wealth and children and this and that, it's gone anyway. You have left nothing. All your well-wishers are dead. Your father is dead, your brother is dead, everybody is dead. They're all gone. And then you are here sitting, simply enjoying the hospitality of your nephew. This is not your home. This is your nephew's home. Understand? And then he even reminds him that he says, you were born as a blind, but now also you are blind. You are spiritually also blind. And look at yourself. I can see that you can hardly hear. Your memory is shortened. Intelligence has gone. Teeth are loose. Liver is defective. He's just giving a medical report, sort of. And you're coughing, So he says, how do you want to live? And he almost, compared him to a dog at home, because he says, dog is there. And then the owner throws some food at him. The dog eats that and he stays there. Remnants sometimes. He says, you are now eating the remnants of Bhima. So what is this? This degradation is unbelievable. He says, how can you even think of living like this? Just on the charity? The same people who you tried to kill by poisoning them? You insulted Draupadi? And everything you did, you did not stop your sons doing all this. And he says, okay, maybe you want to live forever. Because you wanted the kingdom and now kingdom has gone. So now you're thinking, okay, let me live here happily. But what is the use, he says. At least now you should make your life successful. You know what he says? Actually, in your situation, a person should give up everything. Just go to a very secluded place. Just be there drinking water or air. Just breathe air and be there. Like that is called as nirjana. Nirjana, no person should be around you. And there, while meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna, you should give your body. Other, because it's anyway become useless. What you can do with this body? So, you can see how Vidura is not mincing words, as I said. Otherwise, it's difficult. There's, okay, some etiquette and this and that. We always have this. So he says, just get lost. Go to the north. Hastinapur north is all, ultimately going to Himalayas. And then live there like a secluded life. Because they say that even if you get Krishna consciousness, even at any point of time in your life, you can be successful. So a devotee should be depending only on Krishna, especially when you are in the advanced stage, and you know that it can be any day you have to leave the body. So he also advised him, just go without letting anybody know. Simply night time, just go before when everybody is asleep. Okay? So he says, this way you can at least now correct your mistakes. And for the first time, Dhritarashtra would never listen to anybody, whenever somebody was telling, because Vidura was telling them even before, but he won't, he was so much blind with this affection for the children and so on. So he immediately in the night, he left the house, the palace. And Gandhari, being a very, very chaste wife, Pakka Pativrata, she also left with him, she also just accompanied him. So in the morning, Yudhishthira Maharaj got up and, he finished his morning program. And then he, as I said, he used to go and pay respects to everybody. And when he goes to the palace of Dhritarashtra, he doesn't see him there. He could not find him. And he could not find Gandhari. And he could not find Vidura. So he naturally became very anxious, and he immediately turned to Sanjaya. He was sitting there. You know Sanjaya? Secretary. So he's still faithfully serving Dhritarashtra. So he asked, where is my uncle? And where is my Gandhari, my aunt? Where are they? And I don't see Vidura. You know? So what's going on? He's being taken care by us. And I don't tolerate any shortcoming in the service. And he said, must be because I'm so ungrateful that he must have felt something. So see again, look at the devotee feeling. He's still blaming himself that he must have said something. I must have offended him. I must have done something. So he just goes. And then he talks about his own father, Pandu. He says when he fell down and we were all small children. So these two uncles, Vidura and Dhritarashtra, they protected us. They're always our good wishers, well-wishers. So this is amazing, right? So Sutta Goswami is continuing. Sanjaya, when he heard all that, he didn't know, poor fellow, he also didn't know anything. So when he heard all this, he couldn't speak for some time because he was also very attached to Dhritarashtra in a way. So then slowly he controlled himself. And then he said, I don't know, I have no information. I don't know where all three of them have gone. Actually, I'm feeling cheated now because, I've been serving him so long and he could have informed me. He didn't inform me anything. So as they were speaking like this, who comes there? Narada Muni. Always coming on the right time. He came there with his veena. So everybody received him nicely. And then Maharaj Yudhishthira told him, he gave him the news that these two uncles are gone. I cannot find them anywhere. My auntie is also gone. So he says, Naraji, you are Sarveshwara, you know everything. Please tell me if you have any information. Where do you think they would have gone? Where should I search them? So Narad Muni starts speaking now. He says, why are you lamenting? We should not lament for anybody. That's the message of Bhagavad Gita. Everything is under the control of Krishna. So he said we should only worship him and that's all. Just leave everything to him. He knows what is happening. He has arranged everything. So don't start relenting and repenting. Don't do prayashchitta or anything. They came together. You're all like a family. Now they're gone. And then he gives an example. Again, Bhagavatam gives the example of a cow being, controlled by putting a rope. And there's a small little thing in his nostrils. Or even otherwise also, you tie the cow with a long rope, So cow thinks that sometimes she thinks that she's free. But she is tied to a pole. So same way we are tied. We think we are free sometimes, we are living in a free country and free this and free that, we celebrate Independence Day and so on. But actually, it's not so. So he says, only thing available to us is obeying the law of Krishna. If we do that, then we can literally get liberated. So we must bow down to the supreme will. Our own will has no value. So he just sort of, gives a class on Bhagavad Gita again. Again talks about the soul and the body and so on. So then he says, give up this anxiety. You are just behaving like an ignorant person, Now you are thinking, oh, helpless, poor creatures, where they will be, oh, they cannot live without me. Don't give so much importance to yourself. You are not the controller. Controller is Krishna. And then he talks about, 5 elements and kala, karma, guna. And he gives a very nice example here. He says, those who have no hands are prey for those who have hands. Like, the person with hands, he can control those who don't have hands. And same way, the 4-legged, they also go to the person who cannot run faster than them. So weak people are always subsistence of the strong. That's how the word works, right? The animal kingdom also, you see, the same thing happens. So again, it brings back everybody to the point that you have to think of Krishna only. Don't waste your time of thinking about this and that. How can I do this? How can I? We get this always, right? We are in a dilemma always. How do we do it? How do I serve my family? How do I take care of them? So he says, the Lord he has done everything. He says in Bhagavad Gita, I have provided everything to you and the Devatas. Between you now cooperate and live, right? So he says, okay, now the Lord has, he also doesn't tell about the Yadu dynasty thing. He says, as long as he's there, you guys are safe. And actually, you know what? Let me see where these people have gone. And then he contemplates and he says, oh, they have gone to the Himalaya mountains. They are great sages are living there, so you don't have to worry. They have got good company there. And they are in the place called Saptasrota. Sapta is 7. Srota is the branches of river. The Ganga got divided into 7. Why? To satisfy 7 rishis. Because they were the one who carried her when she came from Brahmaloka. So there, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in Ashtanga Yoga. He is taking bath 3 times. He's not eating anything. He's doing Agnihotra sacrifice and drinking only water. So this way he's trying to control and he's focusing on Krishna. And then he also says that Dhritarashtra will give up his body very soon. 5 days from now, he will give up his body. And then, he's becoming this 5 days because of this severe austerity that he's performing. His body becomes pure and his consciousness becomes pure more than the body. So much so that when he is leaving the body, his body will turn into ashes. Don't have to take him to cremation ground and so on. And only ashes will be left. So he said this way he quit his body. And that's sort of on the 5th day. And then Gandhari will, of course, enter into the fire created at that time. And then Vidura, he says he will be very happy for Dhritarashtra and also sad because ultimately, there's some little attachment to each other, family attachment. And then he will leave that place and he's go on his pilgrimage. So Narada just left that place immediately. And he went into, to visit somebody else. So this way, Dhritarashtra quits home and also his body. So thank you very much. I'd like to stop here. If you have any questions, comments, we can take it up. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes. Anybody has any question, comment? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, just wanted to know, like in the current world, right?
Yeah.
How once we get old, how we should exactly behave? Because we just learned about Dhritarashtra, so just to check what should be the in Kali Yuga, how we should go ahead.
In Kali Yuga, we can go up to the stage of Vanaprastha. You know, Vanaprastha is like a retired life. If you lived so long, that's a condition, you know, because we never know when we are to leave the body.
Right.
So assuming that you are living a normal life, like, 80, 90 years or whatever. So the Shastra says that at the age of around 50 to 60, depending on your situation, you should at least take Vanaprastha, meaning no regular grahastha life, just like a retired person, not a typical Kali Yugi retired person, just chit-chatting and newspaper and television and all that,
Right.
Should simply spend more and more time in devotional service. There's so much service available. I'll just give an example. There was one gentleman in Bangalore, and he started visiting us in our Bhakti Vriksha. He just retired from the government service. He was in some army, something like that. I mean, not like a fighter, but in an administration, something. So he came and he asked me the same question at that time, I remember. I mean, I was younger to him, of course. But I just repeated what we read from the scriptures, and I just said, Prabhu, if you can, how much time you are available? He says, I got all the time. I got everything, but I don't know what to do with that time. So then I suggested to him that he comes to the temple and serve. He said, what service? I said, there are n number of service. You stay there, if you stand there, you will find service. Just look around. If nobody give you service, just take one broom and start cleaning, whatever. The photo frames are there, you clean them, take a duster, do something. Go to the kitchen, start cutting the sabji or whatever physically possible from you. And believe me, he got so much engrossed in that he just forgot all his, he had some health issues also. He forgot everything. He will be there promptly in the temple. He'll just come on his scooty or something and do service. And then he became so blissful. He started attending all programs. And then, why I'm saying that, because he took up a service. He says, I'm going to tell all my retired friends, because I see their miserable life, The younger people don't like them. The children think that, oh, these are all burden on us, they say, okay, why don't you go out, something like that, somehow in India, they feed them, keep them somehow, That's also changing. But here in the Western world, nobody cares about anybody, everybody to his own. So this is the way, we have to just simply get engaged more and more, because what is there left now for you to, especially in the old age? But of course, for that to happen, you must have a correct perspective of your younger age,
Mm-hmm.
And Narada Muni is not telling only old and this and that. He's saying everybody has only one obligation, and that is to serve Krishna. And if you get that practice, that's why we say, right from the childhood, if you, for example, if our parents are devotees, it's very easy for us to learn how to do devotional service, right? We just follow them, provided they are a good example, So we have to become a good example for everybody, and then we have to learn from those who have become successful spiritually. And then ultimately, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, one of our Swamis, he left his body because he he had a cancer, and then he didn't know the exact date, but he knew it's going to be any time. So last, when he was almost, certain that he cannot leave anyone, doctors also said that just last few days. So he went into the Nirjana Bhajana. Only Radhanath Maharaj was allowed to be with him, sometime. That also Maharaj won't disturb him, but sometime he'll just go to find out whether his breathing is going on or thing like that. So he completely stopped, So there are stages. Again, as I said, depends on where you are, how's your family treating you, and whether you are, sometimes the Lakshmi is also in criteria, so we should have enough. And that's what Prabhupada used to say always, that we should spend 50% on Krishna consciousness, 25% on our own thing, and 25% we should save. Because ultimately, if you are saving, then you can take care of so many issues. Okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Okay then. Hare Krishna.